blues has a call and response. That means that the line will repeat itself a lot of times. So we're going to give you an example of that right here, okay? I woke up this morning. Let me hear it. I woke up this morning. Got out of bed. Feeling so sad. But now I got to go home to school. The blues isn't always about feeling sad. It originally did start out that way a long time ago. But sometimes the blues can be a happy song. It can be a love song. So it's not always about being sad. And Mr. Larry Goshorn right here, he's going to sing you a happy blues song, all right?
Let me do what you want me to do, baby, what you want me to do. I'm going up, going down, going down, any way you want me to the road. Yeah, yeah. Let me do what you want, baby, what you want me to do.
Mr. Larry Goshorn there, from the Goshorn Brothers, a local band that's been around on the scene for a long time. And this guy is a local legend, folks. He used to tour, play all the big concerts with Pure Prairie League back in the day. And Mr. Powell is on drums. Show your love for both of these guys. Band plays with the Goshorn Brothers, Timber Pink, and all kinds of bands. Mr. Nader over here is on the bass right now today. Okay, so we talked about how the blues isn't always about sad songs. Sometimes it's love songs and happy songs. We talked about how the blues was created. Who pretty much came up with the blues? Who? That's right. Back in the slave days, the slaves they're picking cotton out in the fields. They would, sing back and forth to each other. So then, of course, in the early 1900s came along, after slavery and all that. And basically, a lot of the swing music was popular, right? And then boogie woogie was something that was real popular. People used to do what we call the jitterbug, Yeah, I can't dance that good, but if you guys want to dance, you're more welcome. We're gonna give you an example of what we call boogie woogie, which is it's basically blues. In the late 1960s, Mr. Larry Goshorn is going to tell you what the blues status was like then, at that time in history.
Well, first of all, the blues started to decline a little bit in the early 60s because of rhythm and blues, which had horns and a lot more danceability to it. But around 1965, a bunch of English groups and American groups started picking up the blues and making it their own. And that became, groups like Cream and the Blues Project, and a whole bunch of guys started doing the blues. So it was no longer restricted to the South, and it was pretty much nationwide and all around the world by that time. By the 70s, it was everywhere.
As a matter of fact, Basically, did you guys know that rock and roll was based off the blues? Rock and roll was basically the blues. Did you know that? We're going to give you an example of that, okay? And it's what we call progressions. I'm not going to explain right now what progressions are because I don't want to confuse everybody. But I'll give you an example like some kind of Chuck Berry kind of thing. You know Chuck Berry? Have you guys heard of Chuck Berry? Back in the 50s and 60s, Chuck Berry, he was the one that really formed rock and roll. Applying the blues, making it rock and roll. We're going to give you an example of something like that along those lines. Chuck Berry is. It sounded good. The lyrics that you remembered, that sounded really good. Good job. You might have to take Mr. Powell's place in the Goshorn Brothers as one of the backup singers one day. That's right. Okay, we're going to keep moving on before we take some more questions, okay, guys? You do? Can we do one more thing, then I'll take some questions in a second. Cool? In a second, all right? All right, thank you. All right, guys, so we covered the history of the blues so far, right? That recap everything we learned. We covered how the blues was formed, how rock and roll is based off the blues, correct? And then we gave you different samples of different kinds of blues, boogie, woogie. Yeah, we're not going to do it anymore until you guys are quiet. Thank you. All right, there's this guy, way back in the day. He's still alive today. You guys ever heard of who we call the king of the blues, Mr. B.B. King? He played in Cincinnati not too long ago, Mr. B.B. King did. He's in his 80s now. He's getting up there in age, but he's still kicking. And this is called The Thrill Is Gone. All right? Remember to always listen to any adults and your teachers and do well in school, man. All right?